Hey gang, this is Aaron. What you're about to see is a class taught at the Race for War 101 event in June 2012. It was an event taught to get more people interested in Race for War and also to help them find a way to get involved. This class was on strategy, taught by myself and Thungon. Check out his channel as well in the video description. Hope you can take something from this. Please also check out rmct.tv, where soon there'll be most, if not all, of these classes that were taught along the weekend or during the weekend, along with other videos for Race for War. This video picks up right after Thungon finished going over the map that we were using for an example. This one right here, his own map, Slippery Slope. Alright, enjoy the video. Yep, so the three things we really want you to take away from this about learning the map is, one, again, the special chest locations. After that, quick teching, which is how to get all the equipment you need quickly before the other team has a chance to kind of tech up. And third is choke points, where they are and how to make them. So I think we kind of went over that pretty well. One thing I do want to mention though is if you are practicing on a server and you're trying to look around for hidden chests, I know some mapmakers don't do it, but there's also some who do hide them in grounds and everything like that. You can always just take a wooden axe if you've got bucket installed, and you can cut away layer by layer, remove all the dirt in the map, and you can see things hidden underneath stuff. Quick teching, one quick thing to notice on this map is, say you're going to have a choke point far at the end. If everyone wants to come down to the third wall real quick, if someone just runs down to the third wall, they're not going to have anything on them. They may want to pick up some food along the way so they can regen their health. But once you get down to the third wall, there's a chest with a pickaxe in it. You can get that pickaxe and you can get iron, you can get diamond, all that stuff. You can be at the end of the map all geared up before the other team gets there quick. That's a way to kind of control a choke point, is being higher teched than your opponent. So now I think we're going to go over some team strategy, just some basics. First thing we'll start with is how you want your strategy. Do you want it detailed or broad? What I mean by detailed is, do you want to plan every single little thing, such as dropping a couple pieces of cobblestone for your teammates so they can make their own pickaxes, etc. Or you want it to be a broad strategy, such as let's all just kind of hold down a certain point in the map and try and hold them down as long as we can while someone else takes care of the wool. There's different advantages to both of those. Typically with a detailed strategy plan though, you need to practice a lot, and that takes a lot of time. Some people don't have it. So a broad plan might be for you if you're just doing a pickup game with people you haven't played with before. Also, something you want to take into consideration when you're planning your strategy is resource management. I think Thungon mentioned it earlier in the walkthrough of the map. There's some chests over here in the slippery slope area, and underneath in the one wide area there's some TNT next to a bunch of ice, and there's a chest in here with just one row of arrows, 9 stacks of 64, and that's about half the arrows on the map. You're going to have to be really resourceful and kind of manage your arrows, and since this is the area where you're going to be possibly locking down the other team, you need to be conscious of that while you're trying to spam arrows on them. You may not get very many. Once you run out, you're out. So you start farming skeletons, get more, and then they have a kind of free pass on the wool. Also, something you need to take into consideration about resource management is rare items. Thungon pointed out down here in the valley, there's a chest with a golden block on top of it. Inside that is an enchantment table. It's the only one on the map, and enchanted items can give you a pretty good advantage, even with just a power 1 bow. It's advantage over a regular bow. So if you can get to that, or you can take out your opponent's chest with the abundance of TNT found in this cobble house or something, you can give yourself a significant advantage pretty quickly. So things like that, looking for rare items, not only how can you get them, but how can you take them away from your opponent.
Aaron and Thungon, you guys aren't having issues with players being able to detonate TNT, right?
I haven't seen anyone do that. I do see some people with diamond sword and...
Okay, yeah, do you intend on using TNT in your class?
We didn't plan on it. No.
We'll mimic it if we have to.
No, it's fine. Just
anyone who's
let the players.
If you need me, just
okay.
say something.
Well, we're just gonna let the players know that if we see them detonating TNT, they'll be banned instantly.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, as far as shooting arrows and
yeah, you gotta stop. We'll just ban you straight away. No warnings.
Okay. So we're talking about rare items and destroying those items. You wanna find the chests with the rare items, things that'll give you a significant advantage, and secure them and destroy your opponents if you can. Next thing we want to talk about is performing under pressure. Things like pain loops. I don't know if you've heard live streamers talk about this in their live streams or in their other matches. They mentioned someone being in a pain loop. That's typically when a player is running and just dying over and over and over again. I don't know, Soaring Chris, you'll want to cut that out or you're going to be banned. Performing under pressure, pain loops. If you're just running to try and get your items back after you die over and over again, the other team's just pinning you down. It's a pain loop. It's something that you're not going to get out of easily, and you're just going to be wasting a lot of time. Go ahead.
And the most important thing about pain loops for strategy-wise is learning what to do after. Like, you lost your stuff, what are you going to do? You have to kind of restart from scratch. Is where to actually go on the map after that point. Like back here at First Wool, I pointed out a mines with iron ore and coal. For the most part, mines and maps are ignored because there's iron blocks and stuff towards the end. But towards like the beginning of like Direct Fire, I know, Arcane Realms, many of the bigger name maps, they have a mine that you could use to as a contingency plan, just in case something really bad goes around with your first strategy.
Yeah, just for example, there's been maps that I've played where we're running around with some good resources. We get knocked off the edge, you lose all those resources. There's nowhere else in the map to get them except for one of these mines where you just gotta mine individual blocks of iron and smelt them yourself. It's kind of a pain. So that's kind of recognizing what a pain loop is and contingency planning, preparing for when you're going to fail, because it's going to happen eventually. You're gonna get shot off the edge with carrying all your important stuff like that. You need to have backup plans. Let's say somebody gets to your choke point before you do and you can't take it back. Contingency plan is, can I make some TNT cannons to take out their little stronghold they've made, or do we just abandon it and find another choke point and try and have backup plans for working around choke points? The best thing you can do is when you're making plans, go ahead and make plans for every choke point, and then see if you can work around your own plans. If you can, then either they're not very good, or you're just really prepared. It's good to just try and work around your own choke points, just because other people might make them. And also, if you see something in a match, you'll want to try it and see if you can work around. Thungon, do you want to talk about detailed versus broad planning?
Yes, we discussed this a little bit, but detailed versus broad planning is what two teams can really use to plan a strategy for a map. I'll go over broad first, more in detail. But basically, for a broad strategy, you'll assign certain team roles. Like one member of the team goes get resources, another member of the team runs First Wool and then helps with the resources perhaps. Another member could rush and build a TNT cannon at a certain point. Another member could just take arrows and rain down wherever the other team is focusing their efforts on. So those are like broad strategies, like what one person does for nearly the entire game, and then like somebody, like the person who ran first, he ran third. I know teams who have the same rule runner, one person runs all 3 rules for the whole team, while the other 3 members work on choking down the other team as their strategy to get through the map. And as far as detailed plans go, detailed strategies, goes with what Aaron mentioned before, where like a member could take a wooden pick, and on their way they might break 3 of these. I'm towards the beginning of the map, left lane, but on their way.
Oh, okay. Who did that?
Not sure.
It was who did that?
Okay, just
Go ahead, Thungon.
take care of it. But like over here towards the beginning, I'll fly up above in the gold armor. But there's like these cobblestone pillars and there's these loose stone blocks above the surface. So if one team makes a wooden pickaxe and then breaks down 3 cobble to make their own stone and then makes 3 more cobble and leaves the 3 cobble on the ground, then the second team member could come pick up that cobble and make their own stone pick without worrying about a wooden pick. Then there's also strategies where you take a certain number of items out of a chest. Like I know the chest in this house in the forest has some sand and gravel, and those are useful, but the tactics will talk about that perhaps. But perhaps one team member takes half the gravel and another team member takes half the sand, and then the other team members come along and take the ladders for their own uses, and it's all planned out what exactly they take from the chest, what exactly they do with the items, and how they help out the other members of their team without actually like meeting up and doing it as what would happen in a broad strategy, like leaving food behind for another team member to come along and pick it up who's rushing ahead so they don't have to worry about food, but not actually waiting for them and handing the food directly to them for them to rush at a slower pace. The difference between broad and strategy is detailed can work really well. It could get you to where you want faster, but it does have a greater chance of locking a team down if the other team puts the pressure at the right point by chance, or if they happen to know the other team's strategy. Like if one team is planned to rush and get these the diamond picks at second here, there's 3 diamond picks. If one team member's plan is to rush that really fast and the other team sees that and shoots them down, that detailed strategy is very set back at that point. While a broader plan will wait for the team to pass, and it's more open to re-strategize for choke points that might happen and to avoid the pain loops. It's much easier to get out of a broad strategy then.
Alright, well we've got about 5 more minutes, so if you guys want to ask any questions, go ahead and in Mumble, there's a little yellow sticky note up in the top, has a big C on it. It says change your own comment. You can click that, you can type a comment, and our teacher's aides will let us know what exactly you guys want to say. What you want to ask. And while you're doing that, go ahead.
We'll be answering questions.
Yeah.
While you're writing them down, we'll be answering them. Soaring Chris 137 asks, what happens if all your wool is destroyed? It is against the rules, Reddit rules, that you cannot destroy the wool rooms where you actually get the wools. But if you run back the wools along and drop them down at points, or store them in a chest, or put them on a monument, and then a later team comes and blows it up, you'll have to either redo the wools or get a safe wool back. You'll have to build a strategy to protect the wools once you actually get them.
You'll see a lot of teams, after they grab wool, they'll leave them, just place random blocks throughout the dungeon on the way out. That's a way of securing the wool, making it a little safer so that way the other team doesn't break them. Like Thungon said, it's illegal to break the chest containing wool in Reddit tournaments, so you're usually safe just leaving some in the chest. But if you're playing a pickup game, you kind of need to define that before you start. Can you blow up the other team's wool room?
Just saying, if any of you were banned, you were banned for a good reason. So.
Alright, what we got?
Alrighty, thank you. If you lose all your wool if you lose all green wool, then your team lost the game. That's a forfeit.
8-bit, the best way to build a cannon, you'll be going over that in a later class. Too weirdy, it is allowed to destroy an enemy's victory monument. It really is only worth it if they have wool already on there, and you are confident that they don't have another replacement wool close by. If you can take out the replacement wools and things like that pretty well, you can go for it. The only thing is, they don't have to rebuild this whole monument. They just need to place the wool in the general area. Like, this one's made out of obsidian, so I mean, they just need to place the wool again. It's up to you if it's worth your time, but last-ditch effort might be worth it. Any other questions that we are seeing? Someone else already asked. Are you allowed to blow up Victory Monument? What's the typical breakdown for jobs? I've seen people, most teams have a PvP specialist, someone who's just focused on arrow fire, and they usually post them at choke points. Wool runners, common job, people set up team roles where one player is responsible for one wool, and they might have one of the other players as a backup just in case something happens to them. That's the contingency plan again. We also have utility players. They're in charge of collecting materials, getting them where they need to go. They're also in charge of things like TNT cannons and things of that sort. So those are kind of the basic. I think KN asked that what the typical breakdown for jobs should be. That's the typical jobs I see. Is it still against the rules to place blocks on ladders if they end up on the void lane? Yes, it is. At least in Reddit tournament rules.
Another question is, what would he do with the rails in this chest at before the mountain? And with all the specialty chests, with like random items, you don't really know what's going on. Rails can be used, for example, to place a minecart and do a pass around trick. If you come down the first wool.
Alright, looks like our strategy class is coming to an end pretty quick, so let's go ahead and finish this question, and then we'll go ahead and start moving on.
You guys can run 5 minutes over time since we started a little bit late.
We'll take that for questions then. Just let us know.
I've seen a strategy on this map that could take a rail, put it down, break that glowstone and put it down, and then put a minecart chest there, and then store some green wool in that chest, so another player could come down the outside of the bedrock and get it themselves as a way of securing a pass around. That's what this move is called. A pass around to secure the wool in a different way as opposed to running it out completely. You're not allowed to use a minecart to go past the bedrock walls yourself. You can't enter a minecart and then go around the corners yourself, but you could use minecarts and chests like that, or you could just break the block and put wool there if you could grab it and use minecarts for like that. Other strategies with the special chests include if one team wants to blow up one of the special chests, like blow up the one at the enchanting table, for example, that could be a strategy since teams know that that's a big part of the map, or other things like that, but I think that'll be more answered in tactics, perhaps.
One area asks, is it okay to use potions? Yes, potions just fine. They'll probably talk about that in tactics as far as exact things, when to use certain things. What tips do you have regarding lighting the lane? You could take Seth Bling's approach and write a program that has a little audio message that tells you light up the lane every 5 minutes. But if you don't want to do that, just tell your teammates to remind you and remind each other to light up as you go. Most maps have some torches in the front area right as soon as you drop down. This map only has 2 stacks of 64, so you kind of have to go again with resource management. Light up as you go. If you've got someone rushing ahead and that's their job, remind them to light up on the way. They can light up most of the map on the way up. There's a lot of maps where you can't get to the end of it by the first night, so if you can't do that, then you're going to have a tough time for the second day. There's going to be mobs all over the place hiding in caves and stuff. So that's my general suggestion for lighting up the lane. Safest way to build a bridge without having it fully encased. That's something that you're kind of going to have to just work on. It takes practice. Lots of have someone on the other lane just PvPing you with arrows. Just get some practice. You can watch other matches people have played. That'll probably go under tactics though, so I'll let those guys cover it. See someone else mentioning wheat and melon farms along the way, and it's a better idea to use what's provided in the chests. If you've got chests that have things in them, then that's better. Most melon farms and stuff, those are just contingency plans. If you run out of food, those farms are provided by the map makers just for longer matches. Usually you want to just take what's in chests. What if you place a water block down and the water goes outside the lane to protect ladders from TNTs? Is it considered placing blocks? Not from what I've seen. I've seen that it's okay as long as you place the block or the source block inside your lane and it flows out. I've seen it used and it looks okay. There's nothing against it in the Reddit tournament rules. One thing that I have seen debated though about if it's okay or not, is having lava flow over and then putting water over it to make cobblestone and lane. If it's on purpose, generally it's frowned upon, and the refs can make a determination on whether that's legal or not. I wouldn't do it.
And it lags people to death.
It does.
I think the determination was that it is legal, but maybe I'm not.
Yeah, I remember hearing some debate about it, so yeah, they might have decided. Rule of thumb is, if you've got a strategy you think might be illegal, go ahead and talk with the refs beforehand, and don't talk to the other team. Obviously, you don't want to let them know, but it's easier to ask for permission rather than ask for forgiveness after you've lost the match because you were disqualified. Someone else asked, what happens if all the wool is destroyed? I think we already covered this. If it's blown up by you, tough luck. If it's blown up by the other team, they lose. You can't blow up the other team's wool room unless the chest has already been broken. So if you lose your wool on your own, or you break your wool chest and then it gets destroyed, you're out of luck. That means you lose. Or you can hold them off for if you have a time limit on your match, you can try and hold the other team off till the end and hope you have more wool. But it gets really difficult at that point, so protect your wool. I'll probably be covering tactics as well.
Alright,
Yep.
bearing no further questions, I think we'll
Call it there.
echo
Thanks,
there.
Pop.
I'm not sure who's actually.
It's X Pop.
Okay.
X Pop, you're echoing.
That's okay. There you go.
Alright, sorry about that, but if we have no more questions, I think we're gonna end this class. Thank you for listening to us talk about raceful strategy. Maybe you'll learn something or adapt something from this. I hope you do. And I hope you have fun in any future matches you will play.
One last thing, you can always watch matches that are being played. Reddit, MC Tourney subreddit, you can go there and they usually have links to matches that are happening and schedules and when things are happening. Watching other matches is a great way to learn how to do stuff besides just practicing yourself. So, alright, hope you guys got something, and I think we're done. Thank you, Seth, for streaming.
Yeah, thanks, guys.